What's going on, YouTube? It's Tyler from Mission VR, where it's my mission to bring you guys good quality VR content. And today will be no exception. We're going to be reviewing a zombie survival crafting game that came out on Steam called Requisition. Now, in this game, you're going to be able to craft any ridiculous weapon desire that you have to destroy zombies with. Yes, and I mean pretty much anything. And with that comes a pretty fun gameplay loop, but we're going to be talking about an entire review of this game today and whether or not I think it's worth you picking up. So with that being said, guys, make sure you do drop a like on this video. It helps share the video as well. Share the video because that also helps share the video. And on top of that, please do subscribe to my channel. I love bringing the VR content. I love doing these game reviews. I want to do more reviews, more tech reviews. So we keep this train rolling in the right direction. So make sure you guys do drop a like, subscribe, and let's go ahead and hop on into this. All right, guys, so first up, I like to start with content. What are you actually getting in this game, and what is the price tag? So first and foremost, the price tag for this game is $19.99. It is in early access, so it is not a fully finished game. And we all know that early access games can be kind of a mixed bag, whether or not you're going to actually get a product that's worth paying the money for, or if they're just going to completely stop developing it. Now, it definitely seems like this as a development team that is kind of excited about the future of this game, which, you know, I think it definitely has some sort of future to it. Which is a good thing, no doubt about it. But as far as what's in the game currently right now, there are 4 story levels that you can go ahead and complete. A horde mode map, which is only 1 map, and then a deathmatch game mode, which I'm not necessarily... I actually, you know, I don't know. Maybe that'll end up being fun as you know, more players get into the game and you can, you know, craft ridiculous weapons to kill each other with. But I think that, you know, ultimately people are just going to use guns and that, and it won't be quite as fun as they had thought it was. It is definitely more fun to craft elaborate weapons and destroy zombies with them, at least in my opinion. But with that, that's kind of the only content you're getting in the game. Now, the maps actually are decent size. Some of the story mission maps, you know, have some replayability to them. And of course, you know, the ability to craft the weapons has also replayability. I think this game's going to really shine in the horde mode, which right now there's only 1 map, which is kind of disappointing, but there is a new horde mode map coming in November, as well as a new story mode map, which is definitely huge. New zombie models coming in November. They have quite an extensive roadmap build out. They have December stuff listed, and then they have what they plan on doing in 2023. So if, you know, they provide all these new maps, you know, some new weapon types and new zombies. You know, they fix up some of the, you know, the jankiness and the bugginess of the FPS, which isn't terrible. Let me preference that before I even get any further. The FPS in I would say the jankiness more so than the bugginess isn't, you know, it does not make the game unplayable. You know, it's very fun still. You still can have a lot of fun in this game, but there definitely is some of that as with an early access title. You're not going to be able to avoid that. But what is cool about this game is that there's plenty of opportunities to look for any type of weapon combination. You can craft some higher level powerful weapons, you know, by finding 3 or 4 items and putting them together, as well as if you just want to duct tape a frying pan onto the bottom of a chair and just start hitting zombies over the head with that, you can also do that. I actually, at one point, I made a pretty large hammer out of a giant fan and a trash can. Yeah, that's on screen right now. Definitely a fun experience. And it just creates some ridiculous ways to attack zombies. And it's funny because you can actually like take shopping carts and just throw them at zombies. And there is some fun factor here in this game that I think can't be ignored. But as far as the content goes, I wouldn't say there's a ton. The more the replay value is going to come in the multiplayer. And I think, like I said, I think it's the horde mode that's going to be the most fun, because as you and your friends are trying to survive, you're going to be like pinned against the wall and using shopping carts and things and plungers to destroy zombies. And that, to me, that is fun and that is hilarious. And that's where I think this game's going to have its replay value in. Now, for the price of $19.99, I think you're getting kind of a fair product here, as the game is not yet complete, and they do have a nice roadmap coming. I think that with the November added stuff, the 2 new maps, I think this game will absolutely be worth $19.99. And I'm hoping that they don't increase the price for a little while, because it's not ready to be anything higher than that. I think anything higher than that, and it would be a stretch. But what's there is fun. But there is definitely a little bit of bugginess here in this game, and there are some frame drops occasionally when you kill zombies. And the zombies definitely don't have quite as elaborate physics models as like a Blade and Sorcery would, which definitely, you know, you start playing games like Blade and Sorcery and, you know, Bone Lab and some of these games that have some really, you know, smooth graphics and gameplay and you know, animations, and it definitely, games like this become a little harder to appreciate because the jankiness is definitely seen. But this game definitely does have its fun factor to it, so I don't think that should be taken away from. But we're gonna go ahead and hop on into our graphics and sound.
Secret military bunker. If we were to believe the rumors, then there could have been some work towards developing a cure. News came as a shock and spread like wildfire. All the inhabitants of the colony regained hope.
He's dead. No, he's not.
Behind you.
I love this weapon. This is fun.
All right, so first up with our sound design here. I don't think it's anything crazy good. It's probably average. I would say borderline average to say the least. The gun sounds I think are pretty lackluster in the game. The zombie sounds are fair. I think the music is fair. The story animations aren't bad actually. I was expecting worse, so that's good. But overall, I mean, the sound design, I don't think it takes you out of the game. It's not like glaringly bad or anything bad, but I just think it's pretty average sound design. I mean, like I said, I didn't notice any tracks that I was like, oh no, my god, oh my god, oh my god. There's definitely some moments that, you know, if you're playing solo, especially like the level 3, the story mission on the farm, I definitely found that I was a little bit, you know, got a little bit that spooky factor going on, which I appreciated. So, and I think the sound design of the fog and kind of just the ambiance added to that a little bit, but it was more visual than I would say, you know, audible. But at the same time, I think the sound design is fine. It's an average. There's nothing really to highlight, but there's also nothing really to low light on it either. Moving on to our graphics section here, I think this is actually an area that the game does handle pretty decently. I didn't think the graphics were terrible at all. Again, my computer, I upgraded my graphics card, so now I can definitely, you know, put some high render resolution on, and I had all the settings on ultra. The guns and the crafting weapons and the items all look pretty good in your hands. The distance effect, the fog definitely adds a nice ambiance to some of the maps where you can't really see the zombies. As far as the zombies actual graphically designed, I think they're actually done pretty well. Aside from, you know, really there's definitely a lot of clipping going on in this game where, you know, zombies are kind of clipping through walls and sometimes they're floating over things and, you know, all that stuff, again, like I said, adds kind of to the jankiness of this game and adds to the jankiness of an early access title. You're not going to get the smoothness of like an After the Fall or, you know, a Population 1 or anything like that. And I think that at this point, you know, that's something that definitely this game has a lot to appreciate with, but I think the smoothness factor is a big one, and it's just not quite there in this title. And that doesn't mean the graphics are bad. I think the graphics are good, but I think that this game definitely shows its early access state, and, you know, everything from the shadows to, you know, the lighting inside some of the buildings, I think is done really well, and it definitely gives you that Halloween-y type vibe in certain areas. And then of course, you know, there's a level at the end with the bunker mission, and there's some poison fog, and it just, again, the ambiance of the graphical settings, I think the graphics are done pretty well in this game. Can't complain too much. There's not really anything I could say I can highlight about the graphics, as well as there's not like one thing I noticed that I was like really impressed by. I think it was just a 7 out of 10. You know, it was good enough to convinced me that I was in the world and enjoyed it, and all that stuff. I didn't think like the fire graphics, the electric graphics, I mean, there's nothing, again, that I could sit there and say I looked at and I was like, wow, that's really, really impressive. No distant things, but overall, I think the graphics did what they needed to do, and you know, kept me in the world. Lastly here, when it comes to our verdict for Requisition, this is a game that I gotta be honest with you, I would wait until you either A, have friends to play with, or this game is on sale. And that's just because I think that there's smoother experiences out there, and if you're really, really craving a zombie shooter, I can't steer you away from After the Fall. Now, if you do have, or really, Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is a good one, and there's a new one of those coming out here pretty shortly. So, you know, if you're really craving zombies, you might just want to wait a little bit for right around the corner, or I definitely recommend After the Fall is a very, very good experience. But that's not saying that this game doesn't have some fun factor to it. I really did enjoy this title when I was playing it for the couple hours that I was in it. I had fun, but I had more fun playing with people than playing by myself. It's not quite as entertaining to play by yourself, only because you're crafting ridiculous weapons and you want other people to be laughing alongside of you as, you know, you're both bashing a giant fat zombie over the head with a shopping cart, like in a crate from a room. That's what makes this game fun. And even on, you know, the day of launch and the second day out, I did have a hard time finding a multiplayer lobby, which I think is detrimental to this game because, you know, really the player base is going to determine whether this game goes long term or not, and there just wasn't enough people on. And we're talking like this game did have a little bit of hype going into it. I know there were some other YouTubers and other media content creators that were talking about this game, so to find that there weren't a lot of players or even really that many rooms, I mean, I found one room on, you know, the second day out from launch, and that to me is just not a good sign. And that's why I can't in good faith recommend that you just go out and spend $20 on this game. And now if you have a group of friends that you know you're going to play it with for, you know, a couple hours, then it definitely is worth the experience. It's fun. It's not a not fun game. I just don't know if I can recommend a buy right now on it because the fun factor relies on you having friends to play with. You're going to get through the 4 story missions, you know, which will take some time, and then you're going to play a couple horde mode games, and then you're probably going to be done with this game. And you know, that's because there's just not enough horde mode yet. They are adding a massive town map, which will probably, you know, have some sort of horde mode activated to it. I think that's going to add a ton of content to this game. And at that point, I might be able to sit here and say, yeah, go ahead and buy this title, because if you have friends to play with and now this massive town to go into and explore and just loot and create and craft exotic weapons, I think that's going to give you a ton of fun factor in this game, and you're going to get your money's worth out of it, at least at a bare minimum. And just right now, that's just not in this game. The game does have some bugs. There are a couple game crashes I experienced, you know, a couple frame drops here and there. It's definitely not the smoothest VR experience, but it does have some fun factor to it. And it's just in good faith, I just can't recommend go ahead and buy this game. I'd wait for a sale, or if you have friends, then I would consider picking this one up. Well, guys, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. I hope it helped you decide whether or not you were going to purchase this game or not. And with that being said, do drop a like on this video, subscribe to my channel, share this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.